You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
In My Humble Opinion talk show, Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor, bottom of the show, top of the hour. And Miss Max, you know they got to tell a friend. They got to tell a friend because this is the story you don't want to miss. We're taking Seville to the world right about now. Miss Max, 434-422-9101 during the breaks, or follow us online. You know, right now you should be listening on 101.3 FM or streaming anywhere you like, and you can comment on that Facebook live stream as well, and we will try to get your questions and your comments mentioned on air for you. Because, family, we are joined right now to talk about Forgotten No More, the descendants of family enslaved at Penn Park plantations, and they visited their unmarked graves. And our friend Tamica Jean-Charles from Charlottesville Tomorrow, she did an excellent report on this, and we are joined by her as well as Michelle Waller-Stevens and Zelda Hines, the descendants of that family. And the unmarked graves that were found over at Penn Park. And this is an excellent project. Love good genealogy, Razor. Love being able to tie up loose ends and find family. Man, we may be cousins. You never know, Razor. You never know.
Well, let me hold something there. Let me get $5 up off you there.
So Michelle, Zelda, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Welcome to the show.
And glad to hear you listen to the show. Appreciate
All the time.
that. So, so I'm sure the Waller family is listening as well. And Tamika, so how about I hand it over to you, Tamika, so you can kind of give the folks the background of like how you found out about this work and and further introduce our guest today.
Of course. So hi everyone, I'm Tamika. So when I first started Charlottesville Tomorrow back in September, I was told about the discovery of the unmarked graves at Penn Park. They had been long known to be at Penn Park, but it wasn't until 2019, 2020 when actual work was being done to research and what's it called? Get actual radar onto the ground. So at the time I started, it was around that was happening, and then I got word that one of the historians who were researching the graves actually found a possible descendant of those who were enslaved and at Penn Park. So I got in touch with them and tried to locate the descendants that they found. And so this is how I came in contact with the Waller family and met the wonderful Zelda Hines and Michelle Waller-Stevens, who've been really amazing this entire time with the reporting. So over at Penn Park, there are about 43 unmarked graves outside of the marked white graves at the Penn Park right near the golf course. So the historians now are trying to find who exactly is buried there, because there is no record of who's there other than the white families who were there. So they're just combing through different documents, court documents, criminal records, family records, whatever they can get their hands on to find any kind of name of those who were enslaved at Penn Park around that time. And one of those names just so happened to have the last name Wormley, which just happened to be the name of the mother of John Gilmer Waller, who happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, Zelda Michelle's grandfather.
Yes.
Okay. So they are among the first kind of round descendants who were possibly linked to Penn Parks. Now they're on this journey to try to find more, because once they do find more descendants, they can find a way to properly memorialize those who are buried at Penn Park.
Thank you for
before we kind of get into the discussion, Charles, I just wanted to add that I remember seeing the image of the radar picture that detected the caskets, I guess, at Penn Park, and there was just no words for it. There was just no words. So people are walking their animals and running and playing and over top of these people's graves. Right. I still can't really even find the right words to express the emotions that I felt in that. But to say the least, it was so heartbreaking. So
yeah. Thank you for that. And so the Behind the Walls project. So Michelle and Zelda, what led to this? what was that moment? I guess like was it a family conversation or like what was it that sort of started you all on this track and on this journey to to do such a project?
Someone got in touch with my cousin Stephen Waller, and he sent the information out to us, and we were just we really didn't know where to start, or we were really surprised at the findings that they found, things that they found, and then Tamika got in touch with us, and we had a Zoom call. We all got together and talked and discussed, what information that we did have, what we knew.
Okay.
But it was very interesting.
Also, I think, if I might interject before, I also think it's really interesting about the Waller family is that they would have their family reunions at Penn Park. Yeah. So, for years they were spending family reunions at Penn Park, not knowing that just like meters away that they might have a ancestor buried at the park. So I thought that fact was incredible.
Yeah. And Michelle, how about you?
But the city has marked off those graves down there with the yellow tape, so that people cannot walk on the graves.
Okay, good.
But it's very interesting. But when Tanika called and wanted to talk to us, we was very excited because my son's friend, Brittany Martin, had did this family book for him. Okay. Which the Wormley family is in this book. Yeah.
Got you.
And during this time, we found that the Wormley name, we always associated it with my grandmother's family. We had understanding that her mother was Wormley, but we find out that my grandfather's mother was the Wormley. So it's enlightening. So we still have a lot of research to do.
Can I ask you a question? Because I'm over here smiling because y'all remind me of if you were my grandmother and you were my aunt, I would be sitting at your feet asking you questions. I ain't even gonna lie about that, right? So when you hear about stuff like this, when you hear about these stories and you hear my ancestors are laying right here, right? I understand what Max was saying about people were almost desecrating the grave unknowingly, though. It was a patch of grass. But when you find that, okay, that is who I come from, does a certain level of protection come out of you to want to almost bring them home, so to speak?
It does. And it's kind of hard to explain, but that feeling does stir up in me. And I want to know more about, because to tell you the truth, we actually didn't know much about my grandfather's side of the family. We always we knew a lot about the Cows, which is my grandmother's side. But and any time we would ask about the Wallers, no one really had any information, and we had not long talked about this, and then all of a sudden the information is coming out, to us, and it's there for us to know and to find.
I think so many of us don't have that connection, right? So much, I know that. And I'm going to just say it. I know that white people don't like us to talk about slavery on and what was taken from us and what we had to build from. But when we do start to find our connection to our past, we can be relentless in looking for that. And even though when Dr. Wes Bellamy was on here and we were talking about the critical race theory, my whole thing was, as long as the truth gets told, it doesn't matter whose feelings get hurt.
That's right.
When it comes to, especially when you can trace yourself back across the pond to England and Ireland and all these places, but you're asking me to find out who I am based off of the group of people that you forced together on the boat that might have got sold here, there, and everywhere else, and I took on your last name, and now you want me to stop trying to figure out who I am? I can't go for that.
And it's so empowering, to be able to connect those dots, when it comes to our history and things of that sort. So I definitely encourage, everybody listening, any type of this work that you could do, even if it's not this in depth. Just trying to find more about your families and your past is so empowering, and it gives us an understanding of who we are as well. Because I can hear it in your voices of just finding out, how this family was connected to this one, or and so on and so forth of your ancestors. It's just so empowering. I will add, I would have thought that living beside a cemetery would have been somehow spooky or uneasy for me, but I ended up living beside my family cemetery, right? Mm-hmm. And there's actually a peace that I feel. You know what I'm saying? But as when I was younger, I would have thought I wouldn't want to live beside a graveyard. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But once I was in that position, I was like, I kind of feel my grandmother's spirit. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's very powerful. But the question I had though is, I noticed that JF Bell Funeral Home had some records that has helped you. So I was curious about that. Like, have you been able to get in touch with maybe churches and or like JF Bell that helps you find more research? Have you been able to to certain places you went, certain people you went to?
Well, we really haven't done that much research yet with us two.
Okay.
We are on the Waller Family Reunion Committee, so that's how we got involved in it.
Okay.
So, and we also are members at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. So we do have two graveyards, one which is the original one, and that one is full. So John Gilmore Waller is our grandfather, so he is buried there.
Okay.
Now, when you asked
yes, ma'am,
about bringing our ancestors home, where would we put them? Or are you saying just leave them there?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Personally, me, I think that we should leave them there.
Okay.
And the reason why I say leave them there is because growing up, and my mother always told me, never disturb a grave.
Okay. Okay.
Now, it's just something that I was taught. Now, I don't know how anybody else would feel, but that's just personally me.
Yeah.
And if we do dig them up, we don't know who we're digging. Yeah. If all of those people are our ancestors.
Right. Right. That's very true. Very true. Ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking with Zelda and Michelle of the Behind the Walls project of, discovering the hidden graves at Penn Park. And Zelda, I think you had something to say.
I don't think there's any plans on moving the graves. I think they more or less want to know the history of the people that are buried there. And I'm along with Michelle. I believe that they should rest in the place where they were laid.
Let me ask y'all this, because I'm starting to feel that way too from what y'all said. But let me ask y'all this right here: do you think that the city or the county, wherever they reside at, should kind of, as Max said, they did a Doppler to see the people that were there? Should they section off that for y'all to be able to go no different than any other? Are they making those type of plans?
I think it should be marked off and a plaque memorializing that what the area is, because we have no way of knowing which grave is which, and we keep searching, and it would probably be more than just the Wallace family that they will find out that's buried there.
Yeah. If that was a plantation, absolutely so. Yeah.
And Michelle, I noticed that you have an expansive book right here. Where it looks like a family tree is on the first page. So, tell us more about this. The album that you brought here with you. Some of the highlights that's helping you on this work.
Okay, so this book right here is a family book. It's the family tree book, but it has 3 generations in it. As I said before, my son's friend, Brittany Martin, she did this book for him, and I mean, it is amazing. It has lots of family people in it, and it goes back to 1807.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
No, 1897. 1831. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff in here. So we still have a lot of work to do.
Max, tell me how I know how you feel when it comes to genealogy and looking back to the family. Tell me right now, listen to these 2 young ladies, how you feel?
Yeah, I'm taking a lot of this interview in. It's heavy.
Yeah.
So, one of the thoughts that comes to mind is that, I feel like, similar to what Ray just said, like I'm talking to my grandmother or something like that. And when you all found out that your relatives were in this place, I'm curious about what your inherent, honest feelings were, because you're God-fearing people, and your family may have responded differently with this news based on the generations. I can hear my grandmother saying something to the point of how people valued us back then. And so it's just, another example of that. But we know, we know where family are now. And so we just move forward. But then, with the generation that you both are, you will also very close to seeing a lot of racism that, existed when you were, that was more apparent and more overt when you were younger. So I'm just curious what your initial, like I said, open, honest feelings were when you learned this information.
It was very informative, and I felt, like I said before, I felt good because finally we were going to find out something about the Waller side of the family. And also, I know that my ancestors came from slaves. And I know that in order to move on, we have to know where we came from. We can't move on and not know what was in our past.
Right.
We have to use those as lessons. And in order to accomplish, in order to move on, with our feelings and with our understanding, we have to look deep and just say thank God that we're not still in that position.
That's right.
Let me ask all y'all a question, right? And this is something that Max will know where I'm going with this. None of us, there was no Robinson running around Africa. There was no Johnson, no Lewis, or nothing, right? So when you find our people in these plantations, we know that a lot of times the light-skinned versions of us came from atrocities, right?
Yes.
Do we consider the black community, do we consider that family as well? Because, you had the problem down here with Jefferson and Montpelier, like the Hemmings and who's kin and who's not kin. But when you're not famous and you see somebody with your last name, and you see facial recognitions of older people, your great-grandfather kind of looked like their great-grandfather, and, you have these things. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So do we look at them as family? Charles, Max, anybody in here, do we consider all that family?
Yeah.
I consider it, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
So are we
just blood
still
is blood.
entitled to have 40 acres of mule and 10 chickens?
Yeah, we should be.
I forgot about the 10 chickens. Well, they holding my chickens.
Yeah.
Charles, I got my mule and where my chickens?
That's what got him right there. The chicken.
I didn't get my 10. 10 of them, 10 chickens. Hell, I'm on food truck.
So what's interesting about that, Ray,
I
is
need my
that
10.
we do have a question. We have a question that came in on through the Facebook comment, I believe, right, Marshall? Where it asked a question about, there being any white people in the Waller family, and do you know how they are treated, or their involvement in your work here? Like, so have there been whites identified, and are any of them involved?
Yes. Down the line on the cow side, from my descendants on the cow side, they pretty much say we're related to Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
And you can see the resemblance.
So getting to know your family. Okay.
But you can
Definitely
see the resemblance
yeah.
there. And so I look, and when they say, like, they talk about Sally Hemings, and I wonder sometimes, well, how is with her, her children, her family, her descendants how would they be related to my side of the family?
Let me see,
because they said that he was related to Thomas Jefferson.
Well, Lord.
Now, are you all, Michelle? Are you all digitizing any of this information as far as creating a website to where this can be like permanently documented? You know what I mean?
I'm quite sure that it will be put on the Waller Family Reunion website.
Okay,
because we
awesome.
do have a Waller Family Reunion website.
Facebook page.
Yeah.
In a Facebook. Okay. Good stuff. Hey, so yeah.
What do you got?
Hey, Max, you want to ask, or do you want to take a quick break? Because we had a call coming in.
Yeah. Let's take a
Is that
break.
cool? Take a break. Can you hold that question?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, family. Man, this is great. So we are joined by Ms. Zelda, Ms. Michelle, part of the Waller family, talking about the work that our friend Tamica Jean-Charles reported on in Charlottesville Tomorrow in her article, Forgotten No More, Descendants of Family Enslaved at Penn Park Plantations Visit Their Unmarked Graves for the First Time. So hit us up. The phone lines were lighting up, Razor. So 434-422-9101.
They ain't started lighting up till I started talking about some of this stuff. Oh my goodness.
And also we are streaming live on Facebook. Send your comments there. We'll be right back, family.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.